So I thought like I will share my thoughts rather than present some specific topics on oral medicine. Definitely, this is related to oral medicine, but what we have to do, what we can probably do. I am nobody to tell everybody what to do, what not to do. But this is a humble effort on my part to show you some of my thoughts which can probably pave the way for a way forward, especially those who who are confused regarding what to do, what not to do, and all that stuff. Okay, let me start my today's presentation by offering my prayers to Almighty God for the health and well-being of all our ASMIC members and their families, especially during this testing times like corona. Some of us are going into quarantine, some of us are getting out of quarantine, and it is a very good for and it is actually very nice to hear that most of us who had to go into quarantine are getting out of that without much of a problem. So I again pray to Almighty God for our Babu Matthew sir, who is also getting well and getting better. Probably he may be out of hospital in a couple of days. That's what I have come to know. Anyway, I also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Tatu and his team of office bearers for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts. Uh, like I said before, what for the way forward? So this is a picture which I had clicked long time back in the backyard of my friend's house, and so I thought that this picture depicts at least some of our mindset, what to do, what not to do. Okay, like if I am actually a person who is fascinated by this statement that of Sir Isaac Newton. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of giants. So actually, this is a picture of me standing on shoulder of giants, and who are those giants? And actually, this particular statement it gels very well with our philosophy too. Our Indian philosophy actually divides the learning process into four. That is, one-fourth of your knowledge, that is Acharya Padam Adatte, that is one-fourth of your knowledge, it comes from your teachers. So whatever they have taught us and whatever they had strived, in building building confidence in us, building the what do you call, giving us information, and probably a part of their wisdom also. So that forms one-fourth of your knowledge, or one-fourth of what actually you are. And those are the giants on whom probably I am standing. I am standing probably on shoulders of uh, my teachers, Srilada Madam, Anida Madam. Then now, even though Bhavnath sir doesn't accept me as his student, he calls me a student in law, because Tresia Madam's student I was during my BDS days. But I consider him as one of my teachers. I am still learning from him. Anyway, so I am actually standing on their shoulders to see further, whatever oral medicine or even in life. I am entirely grateful to them for being those giants. I'm not talking about the physical attributes of them. They are very physically very small people, but intellectual giants whom I am still tapping on for my betterment. Anyway, and I'm entirely grateful to them for that. The next one-fourth of the knowledge comes from your own efforts. That is Padam Shishya Somathaya. That is one-fourth, it comes from your own efforts. Then you learn a lot from your friends and colleagues and your juniors, your students. So you learn one-fourth of that. of that whatever information you have. It's not only information, you gain wisdom as years goes by. And one fourth, our philosophy says that you will get only in time. Only time will tell you what exactly it is. So it's basically a mixture of all this, what I am going to talk about today. So I would like to dedicate this presentation to two of my wonderful friends, Dr. Mohiddin Shah and Dr. Sharafuddin. And probably they were instrumental in or probably we all discussed forming of ASMIC and all that stuff during our postgraduate days when we were doing it together. Sharafuddin was actually doing it in Calicut. Myself and Chamba, we were there in Trivandrum. So we had discussed, and ASMIC probably is the result of that. And sadly speaking, both of them are not there with us. But I'm yet to see two personalities like them, because they had with them positivity in attitude throughout. And what do you call? They were wonderful gentlemen. That is the understatement. They were wonderful gentlemen, and gentlemen to the core. So I dedicate today's presentation to my friends, Sharafuddin and Dr. Mohiddin Shah Chamba. Okay. And before starting, I'll be failing in my duty if I do not thank three characters. Number one is Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Kuku, who is an OMR consultant, that is oral medicine and radiology consultant at KIMS Hospital, Trivandrum. And then Dr. Kumar, who is doing post-graduation in PMS Dental College. He is a final year student. So these three people helped me to compile some data which I wanted. And they actually, through informal interviews or informal talks or even their experiences, they had compiled some questions, some programs, and which I have used in this presentation. So I thank Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Kuku, and Dr. Kumar from the bottom of my heart for helping me compile some of the parts of this presentation. So it all started long time back. So these are actually probably all our oral medicine or ASMIC friends might have seen these screenshots. It's actually screenshots of what we had conversed in the ASMIC group. So actually, it all started a long time back when somebody said that public health dentistry colleagues are attending the training for pain and palliative care. Some of them said that it is our expertise; they should not be gaining access into that. Like when this was happening, so many other interventions probably were also happening in the form of oral pathology people organizing camps, oral pathology people getting awards and whatnot for doing camps, and again repeatedly taking awards for one single camps and taking credit for that. Similarly, oral pathology people starting tobacco cessation clinics, likewise, and so on. So a lot of controversies. So ultimately, I thought that I'll just give I'll start giving my opinion, and I gave an opinion saying that let us get up from the armchair, get ourselves trained in palliative care before claiming ourselves as experts. Because just a small mention of some palliative care in a part in the curriculum doesn't make us an expert. We have to get ourselves trained properly. We have to get ourselves. So that was my opinion. And for airing that opinion, I got a pat from our secretary, Dr. Tatu, also. So that is also shown in this. And he appreciated that particular thing. And myself and Tattoo, I think both of us were like concerned about the WhatsApp warrior attitude in our particular group. So then I started thinking in a different line. See, the thing is like, why are we thinking like this? What is the problem? So is it because we are actually good or we are not good? Or what is actually the problem, or what can be the problem? So that in a nutshell can be called as self-reflection or introspection. So introspection or self-reflection is supposed to be a mechanism to scrutinize internal feelings by going inwards and helping in rebuilding a lost relationship with own self. And it's supposed to help you in seeking solutions to your own problems. And the understatement is that most of the problems are your own creation. So that is the understatement which attracted me to this self-introspection. So keeping that particular aspect in view, that understatement saying that most of the problems are created by yourselves. It is your own problem that the are. I was again like confronted with another question mark. What was that question mark? We are faced with all these questions. We are faced with a lot of answers. We are faced with a lot of further questions as introspections. Are we good? Are we bad? Are we at crossroads? Are we not? Why are the other specialties stealing our work? And I was thinking, see, all of us are like qualified people who have the capability of thinking. And it is not that it is something wrong with us entirely. Or is it something has it got something to do with the way we think? So that I started thinking, is there something wrong? Is it something are we missing something? So here, I think the diagnostician in me started introspecting, and I gave this particular title, Introspecting Introspection. So now the thing is like, are we introspecting correctly? Why are we getting bogged down? Why are we not acting? Why are we just being WhatsApp warriors? Why are we not taking the next step? So these are the questions which I asked myself to a large extent. So when I was confronted with these questions myself, I thought I'll read on this particular subject of introspection. Then suddenly, I found two articles which changed my perspective of looking at introspection. The problem with introspection is that overindulgence in introspecting can leave you with no more self-insight than where you started from. So that is one problem with introspecting in an overly fashion. The next thing is it can cloud and confuse self-perceptions. It can cloud and confuse self-perceptions. And what is the result? That is, the introspecting person becomes more stressed, more depressed, and more anxious. So that is what researchers on introspection and studies regarding introspection says. So what actually it happens is that it unleashes a series of unintended consequences. So what is the result of that consequences is that when you start introspecting, you start getting yourself trapped. You don't start going forward. You stop there and you stop working. You stop just introspection alone. So now a word of caution. Again, there are two ways of asking. Most of us like introspect by asking the question why. Why is it like this? Why it happens so? Why it should not be like that? So why is the most frequently asked question for introspection. The problem with asking why is that the subject usually fixate on problems, and instead of moving forward, it traps us in our past. It just traps us. We are still there. We don't go forward. We don't do anything. So that is the stage. So in lieu of why, researchers now say that if you can reframe your questions to a what state, that is, if you reframe the questions to regarding what can I do, what can be done, what has to be done, how it can be done. Likewise, if those questions are asked like that, it will help us in creating a better future. It is not that you are not expected to you are expected to shun that why questions. No, you can ask once or twice, but it should be limited. But keeping on asking one why after the other, it will definitely trap you in your past. And I personally feel that what happened there, or what are the whatever controversies which we were discussing those days, we were constantly asking ourselves why not, and all that stuff. So instead of why, I thought that asking what can, let us see whether it can pave the way forward or not, or whether it will help us in taking the next step or not. So with that, what do you call, with that question, or with that idea in mind, I requested three of the Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Kuku, and Dr. Kumar to collect some like some ideas, some questions, and all those things, which will probably which we can probably analyze. It is not a question of analyzing the problems, or analyzing the questions or anything. We'll just go through these questions and the probable questions the people asked themselves as part of introspection. So when those questions were compiled, we found a lot of problems projected by the postgraduate students. Like, for example, ranging from difficulty in understanding what is written in a normal standard textbook. So the difficulties range from that particular level to, I was given around, I compiled, or the three Dr. Ramesh, Kuku, and Kumar could compile around 25 questions from the postgraduate students, where everything was addressed regarding right from the from the problem of lack of understanding basic English to dental photography. Lot of things. Then lot of concerns were there regarding their future, regarding the loss of touch which they are having, because loss of touch of clinical practice when they are doing their post graduation. Likewise, a lot of questions were or a lot of concerns were being raised. So these are some of the questions. I am just rushing through that. So I classified these questions into some of the slides. The first thing is the learning difficulties. So some of the postgraduate students face these learning difficulties: understanding standard textbooks, finding standard classifications for diseases, then memorizing and recollecting information, then like inability to answer a question when you ask it in a different way. So that is understanding problems. So all these were classified as learning difficulties. And then if you start asking
Excuse
why
me, Vivek
question.
sir. Hello. Sir,
Hello.
yeah, since this is a free meeting, we have another 8 minutes. If you want, I'll extend it by keeping another continuing this meeting with another link.
Right. Because
Okay.
this is കുറച്ചേ ആയുള്ളൂ.
Okay, fine.
This just inform everybody. The next you can join in the same link actually, but you will have to go to all the meeting will have to be stopped, ended, and then everybody will have to join back in. That's all.
Okay.
Right. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, whatever, you have these learning difficulties. If you ask the why questions, you can see that like you are again and again going on to your own negativities, you are going on to your own limitations. But whereas if you ask the what question, you can see that, see, you don't know English. What to be done? You learn English. There are lots and lots of courses, online courses are there. You can join the neighborhood English speaking. Nothing is going to prevent you from doing that. You can always do anything to improve yourselves. And you can take even professional help. So likewise, there are a lot of opportunities, and what question will open up a lot of opportunities for for the way forward. So I like seeing this the next difficulties in taking conventional radiographs. This is one group of students who like opened up and said it's very difficult to take. Why it's difficult to take? I do not understand. I did not study. My IQ is low. I am not good. So all those negative emotions start coming in if you ask too much of why. And regarding dental photography also, that they realize that it is very important, but there is no facility to learn. Is it like that? What can be done? What is the reason for the practice? And what is the reason for lack of practice? Because we do not practice. So if it is lack of practice, then you just keep do more and more practice. Take professional help. Learn from the masters. So likewise, so it is like that. So asking a why question may repeatedly, one after the other, may trap you in your past, will trap you from going forward. But uh, but it definitely will. Asking a what question probably will open up ways and measures through which you can go forward and improve yourselves. Once you improve yourselves, you have the whole world in front of you, either to perform or to like make a mark or do whatever you want. So it is like that. Then concerns on future practice, again, missing out on clinical skills and experience, lack of confidence in doing clinical cases, lack of confidence to start dental clinic in private, high investment. See, we have we are very rich in the fact that our IASMIC is very rich in the fact that we have very experienced and very sensible people sitting on top. Sensible people sitting on top means like right from our Bobby Matthews sir to Srilada madam, Mangala madam, Anida madam, etc., etc. So all of them are quite sensible and very approachable also. Why we are not utilizing their advice? Why we are not going to them? And if you go to them for advice, they will definitely show you a way. They have, unlike other areas, like when we go for a conference, we always find that that kind of an interaction between very seniors and juniors does not take place. Unlike, but we have that facility, and we have a common group. And probably, I think ASMIC is one of the first groups to be formed in the whole of, in the whole of India as an oral medicine specialist, local oral medicine specialty group. I still remember a long time back when, when there was a controversy regarding the formation of local groups. Big controversy. Myself and Babu Mathu sir, who was in that IOMR meeting, slightly slipped off, and but because we had a full-fledged ASMIC working in those days, so it is like that. So we have that particular platform which we can probably utilize for exchange of ideas. Future employment concerns, again. See, why are we concerned with the lack of opportunities? See, like Dr. Kuku is now an oral medicine consultant in KIMS, and she is doing very well. And she has, I think, she has like a good practice, and she is being consulted on a daily basis by a minimum of 1 or 2 or 3 medical specialists on oral lesions. So that is, if that is the exposure which Dr. Kuku can get, why not you? Why not you people? Or why not people who are aspiring to become oral medicine professionals? Because see, you see any hospital which is there sitting next to you, any multi-specialty hospital sitting next to you, either they will not be having a dental unit, and if there is a dental unit, there will be a BDS graduate or an MDS graduate in some other specialty sitting there. Fine, no problem. Why we should, at this particular point of time, I am of a very firm opinion that we should go talk to them, improve our public relations, and we have to talk to them, and we have to market our value. And the thing is, we should always think, like, if somebody has to hire us, what is the value addition that you can provide? If you cannot provide a value addition, then why should they hire you? So we should be able to demonstrate the value addition in front of two groups, basically in front of the medical fraternity, in front of our own fraternity. Our own fraternity, especially the various graduates, as well as specialists in other branches of dentistry. And I think personally that Dental Association IDA is a very good platform for showing our thing. Like, what is preventing us from volunteering and taking a course on common oral lesions? And if somebody asks you, you can definitely give one or two opinion, an opinion as whatever. That's what I learned, or that's what I think. People may have different opinions, but at least improve your public relations and showcase your characteristics, or showcase your value in front of two fraternities, that is medical fraternity as well as our own fraternity, that is the Indian Dental Association. We have to become members. First thing is, you have to become members in our group. Then IDA membership mandatory, and let us showcase our capabilities. Once you showcase the capabilities, there we okay. See, these are some of the concerns which the postgraduate students have shared. Then, the OMR practitioners also have shared some of these concerns. I have shown a small a picture of what Dr. Kuku wrote and gave me, which she had compiled. I was quite impressed by that and by the way that the things were written. So that's why I am showing it here. And one thing which attracted me was that I have one or two friends of mine who does this, and I learned from Kuku that she maintains this this notebook for all purposes, for jotting down the details of patients, jotting down what she has to read, jotting down what are her concerns. So all those things she writes it in a book like this. I know my colleague also, Dr. Sunila, also does this, and I'm quite appreciative of that. And some of my friends, like Dr. Sunila, now Dr. Kuku, and some other people also does this. It's a wonderful idea of writing down what you have in mind in a notebook or a diary or whatever you call it, whatever you want, so that you can refer to it later on and then do the necessary actions or activities, or continue the activities, whatever you would like to. So I am not going to details regarding the difficulties and confronted by the oral medicine practitioners. So during PG days, they thought that patients are not turning for follow-up. They cannot identify even common oral lesions. Those were the concerns during PG days. But in real-time practice, when they start practicing, when they tell a patient to come back, they come back for review, and you are not prepared. So that is the problem then. So these are some of the concerns, and these concerns I have again classified, and I have come. I found myself. Probably I may not be 100% right in all these what do you call that way in which the questions are asked and answers are being given. I may not be 100% right, but this is what I think. If you ask why questions, you will be concentrating more on your inabilities, more on your negative feelings, rather than like concentrating more on what you have to do, what is the next step, and how you go forward. Okay. And during practice also, again, the same thing. Like we have to work hard. We have to put our information into practice, translate our information into practice. So that has to be done under supervision. Especially when you start your practice, you will be confused. You may not be able to do everything. So you have to keep on asking, what should I do? What is the next step? Who is the like a person who will give me information? Who is the person who will teach you? For example, now we have the different subjects like neuromuscular dentistry. It is not a new branch, it is already there. Dr. Tatu is supposed to be an expert on that. So neuromuscular dentistry, we have sleep medicine, we have and especially TMJ clinics, pain clinics. So all these we have to operate, and we should start, or we should take the initiative and start that. And once we do that, we have to learn from the masters. We have to learn from those who are experts in that field, and we have to get ourselves certified. So I will show you what is the present situation and the future. It is entirely based on articles and whatever publications are there. So, and some of the solutions which a lot of people have to offer is that, and what I found myself what I found very interesting are the two things which I have highlighted in the slide. That is the last one. Don't waste even a single day of your post-graduation. Change the mindset during postgraduate days itself. And probably the reason why they say that is like, see, it is the time, that is post-graduation days are the days when you can experiment with everything which is being experiment with everything which you can probably which you want to experiment with, and without having a single naya paisa responsibility, without naya paisa responsibility, because it is your guide or it is your teacher who is ultimately responsible for your actions. So you just have to be responsible to them, and you follow their instructions. You can always do whatever you want, and then fall back on them for support and for everything forward. So that is a fantastic time during which you can experiment with almost anything which you would like to experiment with. So now coming back to the old slide, that is, when you are introspecting, ask more of what questions rather than why. Why? Because it fixates on one's own problems, which is your own creation. And instead of moving forward, you will get trapped in our past, and you will not be able to move an inch from where you started if you keep on asking one why after the other. But at a point of time, after asking a why question, if you follow it up with a what, or like how, where, when, and all that stuff, you will probably will be going forward. This is exactly what I want to insist in my presentation, or this is what I realized after reading some of these articles. So I thought I will share that information with you. That's all. So now regarding dental photography, I was quite surprised when I was given, see on the right side of the slide, that is layman's photograph I have pictured. So see, one person whose daughter had a problem, that is chronic cheek biting, was really concerned about that. And he took a photograph of that using his normal cell phone and send me through WhatsApp and ask me, Doctor, COVID times, I cannot come to you. So this is the condition of my daughter. Is it anything serious? What should I do? I was quite astonished at the quality of the photographs which a layman could take. So what I want to stress here is that regarding dental photography, learn photography, buy good equipment, because even for a layman, the technology has advanced so much that a normal road, like a person who is, this particular person who took this particular photograph is an ordinary 12th standard pass contractor who takes contract work. So if a person like him can take a proper photograph like this and send me and ask me a relevant question, why we cannot? See, I have a collection of like pictures which I got as part of journal of IAOMR journal presentation. I don't know whether I should be showing this because there is no other marking I can show this, because I keep getting some of the review articles or articles to be reviewed in Journal of like Academy of Oral Medicine, JIAOMR articles I kept getting, and these are some of the pictures which I got. So, and we claim ourselves to be professionals. See, the first photograph is totally out of focus. What does the author want to convey? What do you want to show? The second thing, the tip of the tongue is missing. They want to show the under surface of the tongue. If they want to show the teeth, the buccal surface of the incisors are not seen. And the same thing probably to do with the upper arch. So this is the quality of photographs that we have when technology is available. Technology is available, softwares are available. You are not expected to tamper with the photographs, ideally speaking. But for documentation purpose and for your case records, and for following up a case, for your own clinic use, you can definitely use our normal cell phone. And very recently, I was searching for a ring flash for my mobile to be used in my clinic, and I got this information from a from a student who is doing post graduation in in pedodontics. She showed me this in a particular flash. It's 500 rupees, and it is available in the net, and it is usually a flash or a particular light which works on battery, and this can be clipped onto your mobile phone, and you can take wonderful photographs. You don't need anything, no ring flashes, nothing. It is actually a selfie flash or a selfie light, it is called as, or beauty light and all that stuff. I don't know, some name they have given. It functions perfectly like a ring flash for taking photographs in mobile. But mobile photographs are not encouraged in international journals. So that is a totally different topic in itself. But for all practical purposes, for documenting your case, for following it up, we can take wonderful photographs using using our own mobile phones and a small instrument like that. And good quality photographs can be taken. So if you cannot afford the high-end equipments, you can definitely do it with the normally available equipments, and for that you have to learn and practice photography and improve upon it. So now a small word about the present and the future, and I just searched the net for articles on the present and the future. So I came across two articles in JIAOMR regarding the present and future and all that stuff. And in JIOMR and articles, the future of oral medicine, everything stems from the fact that we are great diagnosticians. We have this quality, that quality, but still we are not being accepted. So that is the common problem which we were actually discussing in our groups. Then I came across two articles. That is, one is Dentistry at Crossroads, written by an oral medicine person, that is Glick. Dentistry at Crossroads. And then the next, hello? Then the next article is by Spielman and Future of Oral Medicine. So what the main problem which these people face is that oral medicine as a specialty is it's very difficult for oral medicine to be accepted as a specialty in Western countries. Why? Because most of the dental surgeons do not have a medical background. They don't have a medical background. So that is the main hurdle that most of the dental surgeons face, or especially the oral medicine graduates face, for popularizing their subject as a part of medicine. They don't do that. But see, in our country, right from our BDS days, we have medicine and surgery as part of the curriculum. We learn head and neck surgery and head and neck medicine. The only thing is that we have to apply ourselves better, and we have to practice ourselves better in these two basic medical subjects, and get ourselves acquainted with the medical specialty so that we can go forward. So this hurdle which most of the Western people face is non-existent as far as we are concerned. That is, I say that it is non-existent provided we get good basis in oral medicine, in medicine and surgical aspects of head and neck. And in the present day scenario in medicine, there is a paradigm shift that is going on to value-based healthcare in medicine. Value-based healthcare in medicine means that there is a shift going on from the presence or absence of the disease to holistic approach, treating a disease to treating a patient with a disease. Then what are the bases on which you make the treatment? It is a disease condition, physiological status, psychosocial status, etc. So all these are analyzed together for the betterment of a patient or for the betterment of a human being. And in that particular value-based paradigm shift is seen in our education system also, where formal education has given way to a combination of formal and continuing education. So we have to be attentive regarding continual education. And those people who say that we have lost contact with other specialties, you go and join some course, some certificate course, or not even a certificate course, some training program or hands-on training program which is going on, a single one-day program. Nobody is going to stop you from that. No oral medicine professor is going to shout at you for attending a conservative program. You get yourselves trained. If you want to do that, if you want to do private practice, what is stopping you from doing that? You are not legally expected to do private practice, but what is stopping? Who is stopping you from doing practice under supervision, under a person? Nobody is. So it is like that. So why don't you do the practice in under your own guide, not a private practice in the college itself when you are doing post graduation and after post graduation also? What is stopping you? Nobody is stopping you. It is your own thing. And if you are confronting a problem there, it is the problem which is created by you alone. So now see the same thing which I wanted to convey to you. That is the Westerners are finding it difficult to integrate oral medicine as a branch of medicine. Why? Because they do not have a medical background. But that hurdle is not there as far as we are concerned. And when you analyze this, the future of dentistry, that dentistry has progressed from like an extraction based specialty to the diagnosis based specialty, which is now there. And we as oral medicine specialists, when you go for IAMR conferences also, what we listen to is we are great diagnosticians. These diagnostician business is over in 1960s. It is over. Chairside diagnostics, everything is there. Now the world is talking about oral regenerative medicine. How much we are equipped for talking about oral regenerative medicine. How much we are equipped for handling information regarding that. How much we are equipped for uh, for practicing oral regenerative medicine, which is again, which I personally feel that it is our specialty. So that is the reason why like Westerners are concerned. Westerners are totally concerned about their lack of acceptance in medical fraternity because of lack of medical background. Why? Because they feel that oral regenerative medicine is part of oral medicine. And to practice that, they should have a medical background. So that is their concern. So that we already have. So why not make use of that and be prepared for the future? That is like, and for preparing for the future, like what is the future like? They have given some specialities, and I have not intentionally included the specialities like neuromuscular dentistry, temporomandibular joint, and also sleep medicine in this. Why? Because it is already there. Those specialities are already there. It is part of oral medicine, and people like our secretary and a lot of other people are practicing that. So it is in practice. It is not the future. It is the present of oral medicine, and we have to get ourselves trained in those aspects. So for going to the future, what you require is that you require considerable medical knowledge and also professional flexibility. So professional flexibility is something which we have to gain or we have to get. So now for that we have to have a paradigm shift again in our thinking process from the thing like Mada Pida Guru Devam, and there is to Mada Pida Google Devam. Guru is being replaced by Google. So that is some change that is happening. So, but it is good. Google will give you a lot of ideas. Google will give you a lot of solutions. Google will give you a lot of things, but they will give you misinformation also. So another problem which we are going to face in the future is that whether we can objectively understand the tsunami of information given by Google. Whether we can understand. See, these are not my words. Whatever I am showing here is exactly, it is excerpts from the article which I have quoted here. We have to objectively understand. Unless we do that, we will not be able to provide care for our patients. The language of dentistry is no longer limited to words and concepts like measures of vertical dimension, biological width, this, that, and all that stuff. What do? We now have to talk about measure of effective size, width of confidence intervals, etc., randomized control trials, and all those things. Those are the things which we should be talking now. And are we doing that? If we are not doing that, what we should do to talk like that? What are the baseline work which we will have to do for that? That is the question which we face today. And unless we embrace the tools to critically appraise, we will fall behind and we may no longer be invited to sit at the table. Where future of healthcare is being discussed, we may not be invited for that, and that is happening now. It is not a problem with oral medicine. It's a problem with some specialties, and also some like in the general setup, sometimes it is happening to dentistry also. And there is a saying that unless you sit at the table, you will become part of the menu. You will be eaten. So therefore, so now let me. I just attended one lecture on head and neck oncology, and I was confounded. I was reading all this. I was preparing for this particular presentation, and I have happened to attend the webinar on head and neck oncology last Sunday. Tomorrow again there is another series which is coordinated by RCC. This is actually an excerpt. It's a screenshots of what was being discussed on surgical management of the neck carcinomas in like surgical management of neck nodes associated with carcinoma of oral cavity. Surgical management of neck nodes in carcinoma of oral cavity. That was being discussed. Not a single word was being talked about. Not a single word was being talked about the incision, the scalpel that was being used. Nothing. Technique of surgery. Not a single word regarding surgery. And you can see details of randomization. You can see the prediction levels. So this was being discussed right under our nose in a webinar by an expert in head and neck oncology. So this is where the medical fraternity stands today. And when we compare it with our oral medicine national conferences, what we see is again the old we are trapped in the past of being great diagnosticians, diagnosing tuberculosis by looking at the patient, diagnosing trigeminal neuralgia by looking at the patient. That is already gone. That era is gone. And now we have to start talking about randomized controlled trials on tuberculosis, randomized controlled trials on response to tuberculosis treatment, RCTs or the conclusions on things. And we are very fortunate to have our Bobby Matthew sir, who is at the forefront of research, and he is one person who is totally different from other characters, and I think we can gain our energy and directions from Nassar for these changes which we have to bring in into ourselves. So instead of basking in the past glory, the question facing dental educators is now how to graduate a competent dentist today. But how to graduate a competent dentist today who is still competent 30 years later? That is the problem that we face now. That is the problem that me and you face. My guide, Srilata madam, another madam, probably Bobby Matthew sir, and that team has molded us to be relevant 20 years after they have handled us. They were successful in handling us, and they were successful in making us relevant 20 years from the day they started guiding us. So they were I will say that they were successful in they are and they are still successful in their profession. So now the question which is staring at us is that are you or am I capable of molding a student or molding a next generation person who will be relevant for the next 20 to 25 years? What Srilata madam taught me in beginning of the century, that is in 2000, when I started my oral medicine career after post graduation, is still relevant 20 years from now. So my question, or something which is facing me, or something which is staring at me, is the question whether I can mold, I can produce a graduate or produce a qualified person who will be relevant 30 years from now? So that is the question which faces me. And this is what we have to address. So the thing is like, let us introspect, and for introspection, let us reduce the number of whys, and let us stop let us stop focusing deeper and deeper on our own inadequacies, making our lives uncomfortable. And let us introspect. Let us introspect correctly, and let us ask more of questions like what, how, when, and where for the way forward. And let us introspect right. And I'm quite attracted by this thing. Like, we have a habit of making ourselves uncomfortable. That is, let us have a paradigm shift from Loka Samasta Sukhi No Bhavantu to Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Let everybody be happy, so that we can go forward happily. So I like offer my acknowledgements to my teachers, my family, friends, and colleagues who are like integral parts of me, and because it is based on all these that I'm standing where I am. It is because of all these characters, all these people, help and everything from all these people, good wishes from all these people, that I am where I am. And I am immensely immensely in gratitude to each and every one of my teachers, my family, my friends, and colleagues. So thank you for patient listening, and so let us start asking what, and fight the good fight, like we have started. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a wonderful presentation today. We have another 5 minutes if anybody wants any questions.
I think there is nothing to discuss on this, because this is just an opinion which I have, and probably somebody might be able to add something to it. Or modify whatever I said.
It's a beautiful topic with beautifully done Vivek touch. You know, I would say that because you've done research, you've taken whatever available research and you put it up in a beautiful way that people can understand it very easy, with ease. Thank you so much. It was a beautiful presentation. My observation to this is only one thing, that is, we say from why to what. What then? I think next step we need to add is why not.
Correct.
If everybody can do it, why shouldn't I do it? I think that aspect is the next step. You know, after introspection in terms of what, the next step is why not.
Why not?
Okay, and that is my only point that I needed to add. And in your findings in those questions that you asked, I think point number 5, I'm trying to come up with something new in public. There's a few companies, because now there is no business and difficulties in business. They like to tie up with us and maybe find some solution to a lot of that. It will cut both ways. It will help us as well as them.
Definitely.
So I'm looking at those possibilities. That I'll come up. Vivek, if anybody else has any questions, please do. Thank you.
ഞാൻ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഒരു വാട്സാപ്പിലെ ഒരു സ്ലൈഡ് എനിക്ക് കിട്ടിയായിരുന്നു. എനിക്ക് അത് കിട്ടിയില്ല ലാസ്റ്റ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ അതും കൂടെ ഒന്ന് കാണിക്കണം എന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ ഇതും ഒരു മലയാളം സ്ലൈഡാണ്. മിണ്ടണം, മിണ്ടാത്തവരുടെ ആരുടെയും പേര് ക്ലാസ്സുകളിൽ നോട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ലെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടൊരു വലിയൊരു സ്ലൈഡ്. ഇതുവരെ വളരെ നല്ലൊരു ഒരു സ്ലൈഡ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഹലോ, കേൾക്കാമോ?
അത് അടിപൊളി സ്ലൈഡായിരുന്നു സാറേ.
അത് ഞാൻ കണ്ടിട്ട് വളരെ പിന്നെ
Vivek sir, is Ramesh here. It's wonderful presentation from your side. You have a unique quality in showing all those
Ramesh, thank you very much for some of the inputs.
That's okay, sir. The slide presentation and slide arrangement, everything is unique of you, sir. It's excellent, very excellent presentation. As we all know that, in fact, എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയണമല്ലോ അത്. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye. Kukune ipo kaana. Kuku, bye.
Sir.
Thank you very much for that.
Yes, sir. We are actually blessed to be under your guidance, sir. And I would also like to thank Binoy sir, who is still guiding me. So everything thanks to you, sir.
Okay, I think there are no more questions. We can wind up. And let I do the arrange.
Yeah, sir.
I think we can wind up. Yeah, because there's nothing else that's coming up now. So I think it's better. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, fine. Bye.
Will we arrange
See you
the
on
next
next
one?
meeting.
Yeah. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.